Don't settle for anything. You've paid for something, get the value out of it. So I find that Nigerians are very, I wouldn't say aggressive when it comes to go getting or like getting value or getting the goal they want, you know. So that for me was a slight culture shock, but it's also something I learned how to like push a bit to be more get, yeah.
So if I can chime in as well, maybe from my perspective, like you said, for Nigerians, we think so. Our mantra is almost like closed mouths don't get fed, right? And for us, customer service is extremely crucial, and we always want to get a bang for our buck.
DJ Pakore.
Okay, guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are here to bring you a very exciting episode, something you would love to watch. Yes, you know, I've taken it upon myself to bridge the gap between Nigeria and Ghana. We've been in good relationships since, so yeah, understand. I mean, a lot of people do not understand why we have Togo and Benin between us, but we are always jumping over this country to make, you know, love and, you know, fight and all that. But it's all good. My name is Mazi. You can call me Otumba. You can call me Eze. You can call me Siriki, depending on the part of Nigeria you are. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the best couple I've ever spotted on the internet, the whole of, you know, 2024. Her name is Chichi. In fact, I know the bride's name, but I don't know the name of the groom, who happens to be my brother. And so they are married couples. The husband is a Ghanaian, the wife is a Nigerian, but they've been living together in Canada peacefully, lovely. And let me just play this video. After that, we're going to have this conversation right here on this platform.
I'm married to a Ghanaian, so of course the first language I'll learn is Tisane or Medasi.
I am married to a Nigerian, and of course we sell G.
Jesus, are you okay?
There you go.
I'm married to a Ghanaian. Of course I'll always have a lot of avocado and eggs.
I am married to a Nigerian, and of course we are always late for events. Can we go?
I'm married to a Ghanaian. Of course I'll always say Charlie. Did I just see what happened yesterday? Charlie.
I am married to a Nigerian, and of course we always talk loud.
I'm Marisa. Come here. I'm married to a Ghanaian. Of course I'll always wear waist beads.
I am married to a Nigerian. Of course we charge our phones even when it is 100% up NEPA.
I'm married to a Ghanaian. Of course he would mix English with a local diet. Wouldn't say I was in Ghana. I'm married to a Ghanaian. Of course I'll add please to all my sentences. Yes, please. How are you, please?
I am married to a Nigerian, and of course we never run out of Gary and Semo.
I'm married to a Ghanaian.
Well, we don't run out of Gary. That's interesting. And the Ghanaians never ran out of X, you know. Anyway, guys, welcome to the show. Today we are having a good time with the best couple on the internet. I would like them to introduce themselves to you, and then we'll start a conversation from there. So, Chichi,
Sure. Hi guys, sure. Hi guys, and it's a pleasure to be on this platform. Thank you for watching as well. My name is Chia Koli. I'm a mom, a wife, a professional, and a content creator.
So Senyo, Bright. If my local Ghanaian name is Senyo, but I'm Bright as well. So I'm his beloved husband. So I'm also a professional, and I kind of also support my wife on the side to kind of put out the video telling the beautiful story between Ghana and Nigeria, and just to let people know, like, yeah, Ghana, Nigeria, we the vibe.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people would love to know where you guys met. Did you meet in Nigeria, Ghana, or Canada? That's a story everybody's waiting for. That story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we actually have a video on how we talks about on our YouTube channel, Daily Living with Chi, that talks about how we met, like, from start to finish. But we did meet in Ghana, to be honest. We met in Ghana, I think, some years ago. And if your listeners listen to that video, you find that when we met in Ghana, it was just on a professional level. Like, we were in a training session, and we ended up being in the same team in that training session. So we kind of talked about everything training. That was it. And after that, we went our separate ways. Like at no point in time did I even think something was going to happen, but you may never know. At that point, I wasn't even thinking marriage in the first place. So that was how we kind of met. It was in Accra and just do some professional training stuff. So maybe if you want to add a little bit to it.
No, absolutely. He said it all. I recall, in fact, I was very reluctant making that trip. I remember a colleague of mine, she would force me literally to say, hey, we need to go for this project management training and it's in Accra. And I'm like, I've been to Accra one too many times and I had a huge deadline I had to deliver on. But then she insisted, when God is working. And like you said, unknown to us, it was never the plan to meet my husband in Ghana. And so we just went for the training, and there he was on my training group. Like he said, it was simply professional. We went our separate ways, not knowing that God had his own plan on that day. So that's pretty much how we met.
Yeah. And just to add, right, so though we met in Ghana for that very first time, there was another training I went in Nigeria as well. And that was the second time we got to meet. And the interesting thing about that second meeting was that I didn't know she was going to be in that training, and she didn't know as well. So the first time we entered a training session and we're all seated, and then I saw her, I'm like, oh, she's here. Okay. And the fact is we hadn't even really spoken since we met in Ghana, and it was about 6 months later. So I went to Nigeria with a very good friend of mine who was called Andy. So I kind of introduced Andy to her, and also introduced her to Andy. So after that whole brief introductory session, we had dinner as part of the training program. When we were leaving, I was having a discussion with Andy on a random stuff, and he was like, right, what do you say by year? I said, Andy, come on, are you kidding? He was like, do you know that is your wife? I said, Andy, please. You just don't meet someone for the first time and you tell me it's my wife. And years down the line, here we are. So we always call him the prophet.
Shout out to Prophet.
Sorry.
It's a beautiful story. I mean, I'm sure some single people are out there smiling and they are taking notes that hey, we should be going to more workshops in Ghana and all that. And, but
you may never know where you find that person.
Yeah, I want to play this video so that after that we continue with the conversation. Okay. Excuse me. Just a minute. Sorry for scaring you with that eyes, but it is something very important that I would need your take on that. It's about Moses' blessed marriage, and then a lady made a particular video, which I feel people like you need to give them the best of education. Yeah. But then I'm still looking for the video. Once I get it, I'll put it back on screen and we'll talk about it. But Ghana and Nigeria seems to be in a lot of, rivalry zones about everything. We are fighting about jollof, we are fighting about football, we are fighting about these things. And you guys are like, the Bible says, and the two shall come together and become like one. But you have different backgrounds, you have different cultures. What are some of the challenges and some of the problems you encountered when you first came together? Because probably there might be different ways of how Chichi is going to do her thing, and there is going to be a different way how my brother is also going to do his thing. Were there challenges, and if there were challenges, where are some of these challenges, and how did you overcome all these things?
Yeah. Yeah, so, to your point, there's that huge, though there are similarities between Ghana and Nigeria, but there's also that cultural difference, right? Different. For instance, even if you take Ghana, which part of Ghana you come from can also even create that cultural barrier. So we definitely had our moment. And for me personally, one of the very first one was maybe my experience going to Lagos or even in marriage was from a Ghanaian perspective, you would find that we are a bit calm right? Comparatively, we are a bit calmer. Generally, we are a bit calmer. So one thing I found was that, for instance, you go to a restaurant, and this is a personal experience we had. We went to a restaurant in Ghana and in Nigeria, just put things into perspective. And the food came a bit late, and when they brought the food, it was cold, and um, they didn't even show any remorse or to say, "Oh, we're sorry, the food is coming in late" or something like that. And the Ghanaian in me was like, "No, hala, no problem. Like, it's nothing. And yeah, let me eat my food and go. After that, I'm here." And she was like, "Excuse me, do you realize the food is cold?" And the lady was like, the waitress was quiet, and she was like, "Yeah, you don't keep us waiting for this long. You bring me a cold food and you expect me to eat it. I'm paying for the food. Can you get the food back? Go warm it up and bring me my food. And please be sure you bring it back on time." I was a bit uncomfortable with that first experience because the Ghanaian in me will be like, I don't want any stress. Give me the food. Let me eat it like that and let me walk away. It's nothing. But that
no grief for anybody.
no, we don't grieve for anybody. So that was when I was a bit shocked. And like, truth be told, I was a bit like, don't create a scene or something. Like, in my mind, I was like, this shouldn't be a scene. Like, though it wasn't a scene, but it was just the different angle, like we handle things from a Ghanaian and a Nigerian perspective. So I see that get to come on very often. But the positive for me in that is that you don't need to settle for anything less. Like, I'm paying for something and I need to get a value out of it. Whereas I feel like in Ghana, sometimes, maybe generally speaking, people settle for anything because they feel like, oh, enyehe, like that is the term, enyehe, let's take it like that and let's rock with it, But it got to a point where like the positive for me on that piece was like, don't settle for anything. You've paid for something, get the value out of it. So I find that Nigerians are very, I wouldn't say aggressive when it comes to go getting or like getting value or getting the goal they want, So that for me was a slight culture shock, but it's also something I learned how to like push a bit to be more get. Yeah.
So if I can chime in as well, maybe from my perspective, like you said, for Nigerians, we think, so our mantra is almost like closed mouths don't get fed, right? And for us, customer service is extremely crucial, and we always want to get a bang for our buck. So if we're paying money, we need at least the barest minimum basic service, right? So the food was taking a ton. Nobody came to serve us. Nobody even came to say, "Oh, sorry, the food is taking a while. We will, get back to you shortly." We saw others who even came after us being served and all that. And so it was okay. We need some understanding of what's going on here. And so that's kind of like the cultural thing where, like he said, and things like that. For us, it's like, dude, what's happening? Can we get out? So we're more outspoken. I wouldn't say aggressive, but I'll say more outspoken.
Exactly.
And we always feel the need to defend ourselves where the need be, right? So that was, I think, a culture shock for him because he felt, is she now gonna create a scene where he has to handle, or does he need to put his gear to fight and stuff? But it wasn't really that scene, but it's more of, and I find that helps because when in moments where I feel maybe he's being attacked or he's being how do I even put it, like something's being done to him that's unfair, I'm able to speak up. Exactly. And I'm able to come and speak up and stand up on his behalf. And I think that's kind of where we blend. Vice versa, even in times where I need to sort of take things a bit slower and calmer, he then comes to calm the whole scene and stuff. So I think we complement each other in that way.
And to add, right, that incident at the restaurant, one good thing that came out of that was the manager or the supervisor eventually came and she kind of told him, like, this is what has happened. I'm not happy about it. And in fact, I would want to leave. And he had to calm us down. And he said, well, for the inconvenience cause, the dessert is on the house. So we didn't have to, we didn't have to pay for dessert. You know,
He was like, whoa, you
so
know.
those are some of the positive sides. Like she said, closed mouth don't get fed, you know, but in the Ghanaian side is the flip was opposite of it. And just to bring another thing as well, it's the experiences with even of our customer services,
Yeah.
even the Uber system.
Yeah.
If you ask her to tell you about her experience with Uber in Ghana, it's very different compared to the Uber experience you'd have it in Nigeria. So that customer service differences do exist, and I feel like maybe on the Ghanaian side things need to we can be better like in terms of value creation for people.
So if I can add another challenge, I would say challenge, but I would say it's a learning curve rather, was language. So you know in Nigeria, we predominantly speak English, even though we have a ton of different dialects.
Yeah.
And even when we don't speak English, we have this language called Pidgin English. So we
Yeah.
have Pidgin English as well, which is also really common. So in Nigeria, you would have English before Pidgin English and then before our local dialects, right? But then in Ghana, that was a rude shock for me. Coming and living in Ghana, it was like anybody who sees me automatically just thinks I'm Ghanaian. They'll be like, oh, it's saying, it's saying, you know, when I go to the market, they start speaking the language from me and all that. I'll be like, oh, I don't understand. And that was when I first got married. So I was still trying to learn the language. So it was shocking to me because I'm like, oh, Ghana is an English speaking country. So, like, what's happening? And then they had so many different languages. Even my husband speaks 5 different languages. He speaks Ga, he speaks Epe, he speaks Gandangbe, Shri, he speaks Krobo, like you name it. And so, even when he gets calls from maybe his friends or family, they're automatically just rapping the accents, and I'm like, what are they talking about? What is going on? I'm totally lost. And this was when I was still trying to like get a hang of the languages. And so I started to feel a bit uncomfortable because even back in Nigeria, like for us culturally, when people from a different country or culture or background are around, you don't necessarily speak your language just as a sign of respect because it almost feels like, oh, as though you're talking about the person. So even though we want to rap in our language, we'd be like, oh, excuse me, this is what we were saying, you know, that kind of stuff. So it was a bit different because my husband would rap the language for like 2 hours, 3 hours on the phone talking with people. And I'm like,
with no
okay.
subtitle.
Even when maybe a family member wants to talk to me, they'll be like, oh, pass the phone to your wife. And next thing is like, language, oh, F1, you know, speaking the L word. I'm like, still trying to get there. So it was, you know, it took a little bit of toll. And I think the learning curve was that it challenged me and both of us actually to start learning the language. So vice versa, he's able to learn my language and I'm able to learn his. And, you know, it's worked, right? I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. At least I can understand saying things, even though, you know, not communicating effectively. So yeah, that was another sort of cultural shock for me.
Yeah. And you know the thing with
You say something.
no, I was just going to say, like, you know, Ghanaian typically, like, even if I'm speaking English,
Yeah.
I need to mix it with some small tree or some small local dialect. Like, I can't have the full English, you know,
No.
especially when you're speaking to your peers and all that.
I know
But when
that.
I go to Nigeria, for instance, even an very old, like you find somebody in her 80s is speaking pidgin and you can easily communicate with them. So that for me was also a bit of a difference. But from a Ghanaian perspective, we want to like that cultural element where you are able to flow, speak with people in that like local tone and all that. Also, just the kind of bring a variance to the whole cultural thing.
I get you, beautiful, and I'm sure a lot of people are learning from this. So, guys, if you're watching, we're having a conversation. I call them the best couple on the internet for 2024. Ghana and Nigeria, and this is how we have to live within ourselves. And so, there is one more question I'm sure everybody watching would like to know. Yes, food. Chichi grew up with different types of food. I have met Nigerian friends who will go like, your soup looks very watery. And I also see Nigerian soup and I call it like, but this is stew, this is a goosey stew. You can't call this soup and all this. And so looking at Senor coming from the background with different types of food And then even though, I mean, the ingredients is, common, what they normally use in preparing a lot of Nigerian food, we have similar things used in preparing, Nigerian food as well. But, I mean, in the making, there comes the difference and all that. How were you guys adjusting to each other's menu? Do you have to eat because she is in the kitchen? Or sometimes someone has to go there and prepare what Ghanaians eat himself. How was that journey like?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start and then I'll let him give his perspective. So I'll say from the very beginning. In fact, I remember when we were pregnant, and cravings, pregnancy cravings. You're craving a certain type of food that you are used to. I was craving all the vegetable soups, all the oha, all the Igbo delicacy and stuff. And when we were in Ghana, it wasn't readily available. You could ask him, like, I would always be whining, where can I get food in Nigerian restaurants? Where can I get this? Where can I get that? In fact, my mother-in-law came in one time and she made us peanut soup. And like you said, it was lighter than normal.
Yeah.
And I was telling Sandy, in fact, I remember this scenario. I think my mom actually, she came to visit and we went out to eat. And then she ordered banku with tilapia. In fact, she was so excited because she was getting ready to she's like a swallow woman. And so I brought the banku, brought the pepper, brought the tilapia.
Yeah.
And then next thing, everybody started eating. Everybody got their food. We all started eating. And we noticed she wasn't eating. So we're like, oh, why are you not eating? She says, where's the soup? And we're like, what do you mean soup? She's like, there's no soup. I'm waiting for the soup. We're like, Mommy, the pepper is the soup. She's like, huh? So we had to kind of educate her in the sense that, this is actually how we eat it. This is what we eat and things like that. So it took a bit of getting used to it. So back to my previous story, when my mother-in-law made, of blessed memory, by the way, made us peanut soup, I was struggling to eat it because I'm used to, having a soup thick where I can actually use the swallow to grab it and then it will sit. But then I was like, okay, do I use spoon? How do I scoop it? And then the fact that most Ghanaian or majority of Ghanaian soups or stew don't have vegetable in it. Like you see with Nigerian delicacies, we practically put vegetable in everything that we eat. So that took a lot of getting used to for me. But over time, it kind of grew on me, and now I even eat more of the Ghanaian delicacies than the Nigerian ones. How about you?
So for me, I didn't experience a lot of I would say there were no much challenges when it came to adapting to the Nigerian food. And to your point, you find that there are similarities in a lot of the food that we eat.
Yeah.
But personally, I think there was one thing that I couldn't no matter how much I tried, it didn't just work for me. It was the obono soup. Guy.
I'll share a story with you after that.
So the obono soup, I've tried to the point where you see how thick and drawy it is. It draws, and I'm like, if I'm able to eat okra, why can't I take that? So there was a time I even had to dilute it, make it very light to see if I can take it. Bro, it didn't work. It didn't work. So
okay, good.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay,
tell us your story about.
Share. I decided to do a lot interviews with a couple of Nigerian restaurants here in Ghana just to promote them. And when I go there, they will definitely serve you with Nigerian dishes. And not one, they will give you banga soup, they will give you this, they will give you this. And I went there and you are trying it and you need to tell them that the food is good. I love it in front of the camera, but deep down in my heart, I know they see top. I was struggling to eat some of the food, but I was just smiling to the camera, and immediately the camera was off. I said, nah, I'm not going to do this again.
So funny.
So that has been some of the experience when it comes to food.
Yeah.
But let's also go to the family bit when it comes to raising of the kids, language. Are you deliberately pushing the Nigerian language to them? Because personally, I believe that even if you raise your kids outside this country, one of the best things you have to teach them is your local dialect. So I don't know how you guys manage this. Are you re-teaching them everywhere, or they are learning? I don't know. Are you Yoruba or Igbo, Chichi?
I'm Igbo.
Yes. So, and then Igbo Kwenu.
Igbo Kenny, hey!
Are we teaching them Igbo, or are we teaching them, they would have, like, after school, they will have Ewe lessons, and after that, they will have Igbo lessons. How are you guys, putting that together?
Yeah, and so do you want? Okay, so just to preface by saying, like, it's interesting when there's so many languages to learn for the kids, because now he even speaks 5 languages, but let's not even go there. So let's assume, okay, basic tree and ever, and then for us, the Igbo dialect, we definitely do, because we already know that in school they're being taught English. And so what we do in the house is that we incorporate Ewe. So he speaks Ewe mostly to them. For me, the Igbo, I speak every now and then, not as much as he would to them. I just, maybe when I'm trying to call them or trying to pamper them, or I'm, playing with them, I just, chime in stuff just so they don't get too confused. I feel like when they grow to an age where they are able to pick whatever is of interest to them, and if they're really keen on learning the Igbo language, totally. But I chime it in there, here and there, just so they're not confused, because they're not only learning English, they're also learning French, because as you know, Canada is bilingual, so they don't only just speak English, they speak French as well. So imagine that, too many languages for the kids. So for now, primarily it's Ewe at home, and then I chime in the book, just so that they're not lagging behind on any.
And to add up to it, right? So one of the reasons why we sort of wanted to keep the local dialect maybe restricted for now, it's they are quite young, and this is the time they are trying to build relationship and connect in school. So the whole idea was, like, if we try to get them to learn Ewe or to learn Igbo to start off at the very beginning, how would they communicate when they get to school? So you find that if, for instance, when they were born, we spoke only Ewe or something like that to teach them the local dialect. When they begin to go to school, it's now another hurdle for them to go and try and learn English. So yes, English now they are in school. English is going well. So as you said, we put in the local dialects every now and then. Nothing big. We are not trying to put them. They can speak the Akble type of Ewe. You know what I mean? Like, just the basic, come here, how are you, go, so that at least they will get a feel of these things. And goes on, we try to kind of wrap it up for them. So that's really the strategy. But definitely they cannot be African without learning the language. They already love the food, so why not? The food will bring the accent.
DJ Paco Rich.